My mother-in-law wore white to my wedding, so I accidentally spilled wine on her dress. No, my husband wants a divorce. I never thought a glass of red wine would end my marriage. But here we are. My mother-in-law, Diana, has been undermining me since the day I met her. When Jake proposed, she smiled to my face while telling him privately that he was settling. When we bought our house, she questioned if I could contribute equally despite my six-figure salary, but I kept the peace for Jake's sake. Then came our wedding day. I was in the bridal suite when my sister showed me a photo of guests arriving. There was Diana in a floor-length white lace gown that looked more bridal than my own dress. My bridesmaids gasped. My sister offered to handle it, but I said no. I didn't want drama. I'd just avoid her in photos. The ceremony went perfectly, but at the reception, Diana made sure to be in X-zoned photo, positioning herself between Jake and me whenever possible. The photographer kept awkwardly asking, "Which one is the bride?" As a joke that wasn't funny during dinner, Diana clinked her glass and stood for an unplanned speech. She talked about Jake's childhood, his ex-girlfriends who got away, and how she prayed he'd find the right woman someday, parent all while staring directly at me. Something in me snapped as she returned to our table. I stood up to give her a hug with my very full glass of Cabernet. My hand slipped, and the wine cascaded down the front of her white dress. The room went silent. Diana screamed like she'd been stabbed. Jake immediately rushed to his mother while I stood there, empty glass in hand. "It was an accident," I said. Not even convincing myself, Diana left to change, and Jake followed her. When he returned 40 minutes later, his eyes were cold. He barely spoke to me for the rest of our wedding. On what should have been our first night as husband and wife, he slept in the hotel suite's living room. The next morning, he said we needed to reevaluate our relationship because he'd seen a side of me he never knew existed. "We've been living separately for 3 weeks, Justity," he texted, asking for my lawyer's information. His mother has convinced him I am unstable and deliberately humiliated their family. Was spilling wine childish or pass up? But after years of her subtle digs and then wearing white to my wedding, I'd do it again. My friends say I am better off without a man who chooses his mother over his wife. My heart says I still love him, but my brain keeps asking, if this is how he reacts to wine on a dress, what would happen when we face real problems? Sometimes I wonder if Diana planned us all along, wear white, provoke me, and drive us apart. If so, I handed her the victory in a wine glass.